Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and I am your watch guy today. Today we are asking the age-old question of was it worth the wait? Some things in life are just worth waiting for, like a finely aged single malt or an England final at Wembley. Then there's the things that take the time and when they arrive, they're just a massive letdown, like ordering a McDonald's from Uber or an England final at Wembley. I have waited since February 2021 to see this watch. This is from VanBanner and it is their LEA dive watch and it's absolutely fantastic, but I'll tell you about that in the review. Since I first saw this watch, since they first teased me with it, they've released 2 other watches and I've reviewed them on the channel, absolutely loved them, but it's all led up to this for me. Because this is the first one that I wanted. This is the first one that really got me interested in VanBanner's story and their micro brand as an actual brand. So I was absolutely ecstatic when I found out that they weren't sending me one. They were sending me the production model, which is this, as well as the prototype to show you the development of this piece since they first announced it way back in 2021. If you'd like to pick this piece up, it's available on the VanBanner website and I have linked that in the description. They are a Canadian brand, but they do ship worldwide and they have a currency converter built into their website. Very useful. Now, I don't get a kickback if you buy anything from them, but this has been sent to me for free and I do get to keep it. So keep that in mind throughout this review. However, it will be full, open and honest. With that out of the way, let me turn this camera around and let's introduce you to LEA. Now today we have VanBanner back on the channel and it's not often that I get to review a production model next to the actual prototype, but they were kind enough to send me this prototype in as well as the production model and I am very grateful for that because it's really interesting to see. Now I was waiting from February 2021 to see this watch and I've got to say it's been worth the wait. I fell in love with the case shape so quickly just because of those rugged edges and the real dynamic look to it. I'm not too sure why, but it really gave me a military canister type of vibe to it. It really did have that rugged outdoors feel to it, very much the way that a Land Rover Defender does, which by the way is probably one of my favourite cars. I feel like this is just outdoors military absolute perfection. There have been some changes made. They are subtle, but they are very, very effective. This is, by the way, one of these straps that are available with these watches when they are ordered. All the way from beautiful Canada. So the case back is the first differentiating factor that we have. They have made it a little bit more legible with the LEA writing on the back. I think that was a very smart move. Makes a little bit more of a feature of that case back design. Another thing that they've changed is the slight colours on the dial themselves. We almost have an aged loom type of effect to the numerals on the production piece, whereas they were white on the actual prototype. And as well as that, the anti-reflective coating is much better here. And you can definitely see a better tone to the dial. Speaking of tones, the VanBanner print up at 12 o'clock and the LEA print have been flattened and giving a more matte effect in the production piece, and I think that really does suit the watch so well. It's nice to see that they actually had pretty much a completed piece here and then still made a couple of little subtle changes to really perfect the piece. They've also changed the case shape in the lugs here. As you can see, it was a simple indentation to either side, but they've really flown with that and really made this a more distinct look to the casing. I really do like this watch. Step that prototype to the side and let's have a look at the real deal. So let's talk about what I had mentioned on this watch, because they are going to be quite a factor for a lot of us, including myself. However, this does wear quite nicely on my wrist. It is 45 millimeters in diameter. Yes, this is a big boy. It is 14.1 millimeters thick, and lug to lug we have this in a 52.5 millimeters. My usual wearable range is up to 44 mil and a 50 mil lug to lug. However, this watch does actually fit to my wrist and I have really enjoyed wearing it. Now, I am used to wearing bigger watches though, so it completely depends on what you are used to. These lugs are 24 millimeter in diameter. You do get a choice of straps when this is shipped from Canada to you. You get this really nice mesh Milanese style strap with the LEA print on there, the LEA print. As well as that, we do get this really nice canvas strap and a leather band option with certain models. Nice to see a little bit of diversity in the choices that you can make with this piece. Now let's talk about the pricing of it. It's actually very, very affordable, especially for how well made it is and how original this piece is. VanBanner, I have known very well to not make, well, if they do make any money on these pieces, they don't make much. And I think this will be another case of them not making any at all. This one comes in at 288 Canadian dollars. VAT in our Great British pound is £195. For the £198 that you'll pay for this, I do think that you get a lot of value in it. Obviously, it's a very original design, and that's what VanBanner really do specialise in. You'll never see a design from them that you can call a homage or say it got way too much inspiration from another piece. This is out and out VanBanner, and it may be packed with the NH35, which some people might grumble about. I think that it offers plenty for the money, and to be fair, I think they are actually quite a good value micro brand, especially for the quality that they offer in their builds. This entire casing is built in 316L stainless steel, and we have a really lovely bead blasted effect to the entire casing, which I think really does suit the outdoors aesthetic to this watch, the almost conquer the world type of aesthetic that we have here. Very rugged design to it. The angles to the casing are quite clear, as you can see. We have a VanBanner shield to the side of the casing. Now, that is not going to be for everyone. Usually that's not for me, but I do think that it really does suit this watch quite nicely. Move to the other side, we have the VanBanner crown that is quite oversized, but really suits the watch with the type of size that it has, the type of presence that it gives you, and obviously means that it is really, really accessible. It does have the VanBanner logo engraved onto the side. Screw down crown, really nice level of grip, and due to that size, it's really easy to manipulate. Now, another feature to this piece is the matted bezel that we have here, the ion matted black bezel. That does have an accent with lume on there. We have a mixture of BGW9 and C3 lume throughout this watch. I really do like the red accent to the lume pip at the 12 o'clock. And we obviously have this 20-minute indicator, this dive indicator. You can see we do have a screw down case back. It is a display case back, however, it does offer a good level of water resistance to the watch. We have the usual information around the outer edge of that case back. I hope you can see there. And it does come in that really nice red print around the outer edge. It almost gives it a sort of fire alarm type of look to me. But I do think it looks pretty cool, to be fair. Sapphire crystal built into this piece, and it does have a good level of anti-reflective coating. That is one of the upgrades from the prototype to the production piece, and it really does aid in how nice this dial looks. It shows off the dial by not getting in the way too much. Altogether, this casing is provided with 300 meters of water resistance, and one more note, this is a 120 click unidirectional dive bezel. I did forget to mention that. It does have a really nice grip to it too, which suits the crown, also plays very well with that very flat coin edge type of design. As we move into the dial, we have a layered dial effect on this VanBanner LEA. It almost has a pilot military type of style to it. The minute track on the outer edge gives a very precise style to the minute counts. Obviously, very easy read there, very militaristic. Inside that we have the minute markers themselves in Arabics. Up at the 12 o'clock we have a very bold 12 o'clock triangle. I think that really does flow with the design of the watch. Now the print on the outer edge is not in white, it is in an almost off green, and you'll see why soon. That outer edge is in a khaki green and obviously does play very well to this motif. As we move into the inner dial, you can see we have a black background, very matte black background up to 12 o'clock. Just above this handset and below the 12 Arabic, we have the VanBanner logo in the same khaki green. LEA, water resistant, 300 meters down towards the 6. This watch really does give an almost instrument type of. Down above the 6 o'clock we have a date window. Now that is a free date display, which again does flow very nicely with the design. Gives it a look of an instrument in a dashboard. Very nice effect to that. I really do like the numerals around the inner dial. They are cutaways, and they again flow with that military type of style to the watch. Very broad sword style handset on this one. The center is loomed on those hands and we have a grey outer edge which flows very nicely with the bead blasted casing. That second hand taken away there, very nicely suited to the size of the dial, has a red arrowhead tip to it, and we have this counterbalance which is also a very nice touch. Now this is loomed, as I mentioned, C3 and BGW9. So let's get the lights out and let's have a look at this loom shot. Pretty nuclear, this one. The C3, or the pale blue loom on the inside of the dial, is probably the lowest point of this, but I do imagine that it will last much longer. Now, we always say that brands should definitely improve their loom between the prototype and the production piece. I haven't charged this prototype, but you can see that there's definitely a better standard of loom in the production piece. This is almost nuclear, to be quite frank. It glows like God knows what. You definitely wouldn't miss this in a dark room, and it'd be super easy to read every single aspect of that dial. This loom shot has got to be a 10, and I think that's the first one that I've ever given as a 10. I mean, it's got everything. We've got the mixture of BGW9 and C3, so we have the long lasting and the super bright. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's incredible. All the way down to the automatic print, it is loomed. As well as that, the crown also has a little bit of loom on it. I've talked too long for you to see it too much, but that is also loomed, which is nice to see. Yeah, we definitely can't fault them for the loom. As we move on from the head of this watch, we move on to the Milanese steel strap that is attached to this mesh-like strap. I think it's actually a really good choice. I really do like this LEA print on there. I think that really adds a little bit of class to this strap. We don't have a signed clasp, which is a little bit of a letdown on there. Obviously the branding is there, however not where we'd expect. It is a pressed clasp. This Milanese strap is actually quite comfortable. You also have the option of this khaki green canvas strap and a leather band to go with this piece. So we have plenty of options. And to quickly change them in and out, we also have drilled lugs on this, which makes the ease of switching your band super quick. Let me get this one on wrist and then we can move in to the negatives of the piece. And I bet you can guess what's going to come up straight away. I do have to say, this is probably the most wearable 45mm watch that I've ever had in on the channel. This strap really does aid in that. I do think that they've got it completely right with that. I think a bracelet on this would have probably edged it a little bit. I think that this is perfect for it. But you do obviously have that option there for other strap styles. A NATO also works on this. You may not want to go down that route though, because, you know, 14mm tall already. So where are my negatives for this piece? Well, obviously we have to start with the sizing. This will not be everyone's cup of tea. Obviously, it's quite a big watch. As I've said, it's wearable for myself. It's not something that I could wear as an everyday wear. However, I do think that it's slightly outside that range for me. It is definitely an occasion piece for myself. However, I do think a lot of bigger chaps out there would really enjoy this watch. It has a little bit of everything for me, even down to the finishing of that shield on the side. However, I do know that a lot of people will actually see this as a downside. Not everyone likes to see the watch branded to the left hand side here. I personally think it works for this piece. Let me know what you guys think. The press clasp, not having any branding on it, that is definitely a downside, as well as it being a press clasp. I know people will pick up on that. However, didn't really affect me. I think for this type of budget, I think it's well within what you'd expect. Finally, the one actual moan that I have for this piece is the bezel alignment. Now, I'm confident that this is not every single bezel, because on the prototype it's lined up perfectly. However, on this piece here, I do have a misaligned bezel, unfortunately. Now, that's neither here nor there when you have a world where Seiko are getting away with that. So that's an unfortunate mishap for this piece in particular. I don't think that'll be there for every other piece. I think they'd be quite safe with the quality control with VanBanner, as I have been in the past. I think they're a fantastic brand. They really do pay attention to what they're doing in their workshop. And, well, they just make incredible pieces, especially for the price range that they're in. Under £200 for this. I think that's incredible myself. What do you guys think? So guys, that is our chunky dive friend from VanBanner LEA, LEA, whatever you want to call it. All I know is it's bloody fantastic for the price that they're offering at £195. I mean, you could do so much worse for that type of money. It's just an absolute steal at that price, especially for something that is completely originally built and originally designed from VanBanner themselves. It's just an absolute steal, as is pretty much every one of their models. Check out their website. If you're not interested in this one, the other two that I reviewed, absolutely gorgeous also. Thank you to VanBanner for sending this in. I really do appreciate it. As I said, their website is linked in the description. Now, before we go, I do have a shameless plug. Down in the description is my online store. You can buy pre-owned watches from there. I have a massive selection of them now, over 30 pieces on there for you to pick from, and they're all absolute bargains. So definitely check that out. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.